Hollywood today. The drive to produce a spectacle on the movie screen has largely shaped American cinema ever since early days. And it continues even today in newer forms, as 2000s have been an era of immense change in the movie and technology industries. In contemporary Hollywood cinema, there is now a package unit system at working. Studio space is rented out and personnel are hired for the duration of the one project. Individual producers now have to put together a one-off package of finance, personnel, equipment and studio time for each film being made. The studios no longer have to be concerned with keeping its spaces busy like a factory with full of workers permanently on their payroll. Instead, arrangements can be made to film each movie wherever it is most convenient around the world, perhaps in places where rates of pay are considerably lower. The main Hollywood companies were driven to this system in an effort to cut expenditure. Actors and directors in the new Hollywood have agents to cut deals for them. Some directors like Steven Spielberg and James Cameron and actors like Johnny Depp and Tom Cruise have arguably more power than the studios. Studios started focusing on a handful of extremely expensive releases every year in order to remain profitable. Such blockbusters emphasize spectacle, star power and high production values, all of which entail an enormous budget. A successful blockbuster will attract an audience large enough to offset production costs and reap considerable profits. Added to that, in the new films, short duration has gotten shorter. Contemporary films have more action and movement than earlier films. And finally, films have gotten shorter. The median length of top 100 successful films between 1994 and 2015 was 110 minutes. The long films now are historical and Western films, and the short ones are animation films and documentaries, which has also recently found success in the theaters. After the success of blockbusters like Titanic, Independence Day, Back to the Future, Beverly Hills Cop, Top Gun, Wall Street, Rain Man, The Matrix, The Green Mile, The Sixth Sense, Star Wars, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, Silence of the Lambs, Forrest Gump and Schindler's List is the final quarter of the 20th century. The successful films of 21st century are largely based on fantasy, special effects, war, horror of science fiction. A number of original science fiction movies from Hollywood like Gravity and Interstellar turned out to be its instant hits with their gripping visuals and storytelling methods. Sequels, reboots, franchises, superhero sagas, action flicks and such big budget blockbusters were the in thing for Hollywood. Just take the hit lineup of the past 10 years. Transformers, Avengers, Star Wars, Dark Knight, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Wolverine, 300 Rise of an Empire, the list is endless. In Hollywood today, bigger is the better and repeatability is the king. According to the Box Office Mojo, a website that tracks ticket sales, the 10 top grossing movies worldwide in recent times were animated films like Frozen, Minions, Ice Age, Shriek, Toy Story and Lion King. Action sequels like Mission Impossible and Fast and the Furious for franchises like Jurassic World reaped record profits for the major studios.
Dominic Toretto, you don't know me.
All the above is not to say that the last decade has not been good for filmmakers who preferred personal films over spectacles like Avatar and Hugo. As big studios avoided small films, it has never been easy to produce and distribute a feature film completely outside the studio system. They use newer, cheaper digital technologies to produce great images and sound in films like The Revenant, Boyhood and Little Miss Sunshine.
Dwayne, that's your name, right? Are you getting any? My God, man.
The independent productions focused on small budgets and emphasized high professional quality in terms of acting, directing, screenwriting and other elements associated with production, and also upon creativity and innovation in storytelling. These movies usually rely upon good write-ups or niche marketing to garner an audience. Directors like Quentin Tarantino, Steven Spielberg, Richard Linklater and Coen brothers had considerable financial successes, thereby re-establishing the commercial viability of independent films. The surprise success from independent banners including films like Passion of the Christ, Slumdog Millionaire, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, Burn After Reading, Erin Brockovich, Ocean's 11, Juno and Memento, foreign language films such as Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Hero and documentary films like Super Size Me, March of the Penguins and Michael Moore's Bowling of Columbine and Fahrenheit 9/11. As the smaller productions found considerable success harvesting 20% of the total revenues, today's big 6 major studios have created a number of subsidiaries. They are designed to develop less commercial, more character-driven films which appeal to the growing art house market. These include New Line Cinema, HBO Films, DreamWorks, Sony Pictures Classics, Fox Searchlight Pictures, Miramax Films, Warner Independent Pictures, Paramount Classics or Paramount Vintage, 3 Star Films and Kendrick Brothers Productions. By the late 2000s, Hollywood produces 3 different classes of films. First one, the big budget blockbusters. Second, the art films, specialty films and niche market films produced by the conglomerate-owned independent banners. And the third, genre and specialty films coming from truly independent studios and producers. The third category now comprises half the feature films released in the United States, each produced at a cost between $5 to $10 million.